Figures, the moment we head back to an oval racetrack, it's the Kevin Harvick show, as usual. How's it going, everyone? I'm Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Still on the road, although right now I'm back at my parents' house in Houston. So just for the next week and a half or so, I'll be here, and then I'll be moved back into my new apartment in Austin, which will be really exciting because I'm going to trick that thing out to be the ultimate NASCAR YouTube video making studio paradise. But for now, I got my nice suburban backyard with a swimming pool, and now my basketball's over there. But anyway, yeah, I'm just chilling out here. I'm mainly out here because this is where the lighting is best. I don't have my normal lighting set with me, so my house basically looks like the Bat Cave, so I'm out here for this. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the race. I just got done watching the, what was it called? The Consumers Energy 400 at Michigan International Speedway, and, you know, to summarize, it was a very average race as far as the racing itself is concerned. You know, Michigan's a really fast track, and it's also been fairly recently repaved, so there's really only one groove, plus you're going 200 miles an hour, plus these cars are super aerosensitive, so other than the restarts, the racing is not very good, I'll be honest. But the first half of this race, at least, was actually quite eventful, very exciting. A lot of spins, a lot of contenders going back to front, a lot of shakeups in the finishing order or in the running order. So it was actually a pretty exciting race. Even though early on it was pretty clear that Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch were going to dominate. This was their race. The rest of us were just living in it. But it was still interesting. At the end of the day, though, Kevin Harvick swept both stages and then won the actual race. So max points for him. He now has 7 wins on the season, which breaks a tie that he had with Kyle Busch. So he now is the leading winner this year so far. So all around, good day to be Kevin Harvick. We'd kind of forgotten about Kevin Harvick, I feel like, the last couple weeks. You know, I know he won at New Hampshire, but, you know, we'd been to, like, Pocono, Watkins Glen. They aren't your traditional oval, you know, NASCAR racetracks. So Harvick had kind of, you know, he'd kind of taken a back seat to guys like Chase Elliott. Chevy kind of finally had a couple weeks to itself where they could be, like, the stars of the show. But it's figures at the moment we'd head back to a track like Michigan, your typical kind of cookie cutter style intermediate track, that Harvick would once again be strong. You could probably see it coming, honestly, that Harvick was going to be good this weekend, although a lot of people early in the weekend and during practice, during qualifying, were talking about Joe Gibbs Racing. Specifically, Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez was coming off 2 top 5s in a row coming into this weekend, so a lot of hype behind those guys. Hamlin started on pole, but was really never a factor. He ran around 5th to 10th most of the race. I'll talk about where he finished in a minute. Suarez wrecked in practice, so he had to start in the back, but he moved his way forward up around 10th pretty quickly, but from there he was really rarely able to crack the top 10, so he finished, I think, 11th, but I'll talk about that again in a minute. So this race was really all about Stewart-Haas Racing. A good day for them, Kevin Harvick especially. I mean, he dominated, led I think over 100 laps. I think it was 108 out of 200 laps, just domination. I'll go ahead and transition to looking at our top 20, our notable finishers right there. Penske had been struggling as an organization lately, especially by Penske standards, but you see Keselowski manages to get a 2nd place finish. Penske, Ryan Blaney ran pretty well, ran top 5 most of the race, so Penske definitely had a little bit of a turnaround day, you can see right there. Kyle Busch still there in 3rd, you know, he's always a factor, so you can't always forget about him. Austin Dillon was actually running 2nd late in the race until he had a flat tire with just a couple laps to go, but he managed to limp home to finish 4th. So honestly, he kind of played some strategy to get up there, but he had a pretty good car most of the race as well. So kind of a season. I know he won the Daytona 500, but this really feels like one of their best runs of the season for that 3 car. And I wanted to mention Stewart-Haas Racing because you see a couple of their cars also there in the top 10. You know, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch. There's some rumors about Kurt Busch this week that I'll talk about in an episode later this week. There's some rumors about Kurt Busch going around, but Stewart-Haas Racing is in a good spot as a team. Interestingly enough, Clint Boyer, the guy who won this race, you know, Michigan race earlier this season, is the only Stewart-Haas guy that did not finish top 10. So Stewart-Haas is just a pretty well-rounded organization overall. Harvick's clearly the leader of that pack, but Almirola, you know, you got Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer are all running pretty well, and they're all going to be in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see if they can. They kind of feel like they're the new Joe Gibbs Racing. The last few years, like Joe Gibbs Racing has always had 3 or 4 cars in the playoffs that could win races. Right now, Stewart-Haas Racing feels that way, you know, and I think that's interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how we feel about that going forward. If that continues to be the trend, or if they start to kind of taper off. Hamlin comes home 8th. Chase Elliott gets another top 10, so he backs up that win with a top 10. You know, he did not have a good car at all at Michigan. Really, none of the Hendrick cars looked very good, which was something I talked about last week. I don't want to sit here and say I was right, but everybody was trying to tell me once again that Hendrick is back after Chase Elliott won last week. And I said it then that I can't say that they're back when they only had a couple good races and they haven't proven it on ovals yet. NASCAR is primarily an oval racing sport, and Hendrick still has not looked very good at ovals. ovals. And here we go, back in an oval for the first time in a few weeks, and they weren't any good. I know you guys want Hendrick Motorsports to be back. I want Hendrick Motorsports to be back. I really want Chase Elliott to start winning races. I want Jimmy to win some races. I want all those guys in the playoffs, but they're just not back yet. And it's doing nobody any favors to sit here and claim that, oh, Hendrick's back to their former glory. They're back, guys. They're finishing good again. It doesn't do anybody any good if it's not actually true. And clearly, even though they had a couple good races in a row at Pocono and Watkins Glen, Hendrick Motorsports is not back into championship contending form, the way we're used to seeing them. And it's not a bad thing to admit that. Honestly, the only guys in championship form right now are Harvick, Busch, and Truex. And Truex, I'm iffy on. So it's not bad for me to sit here and say that Hendrick Motorsports is not a championship contending team. You know, it doesn't hurt or help anything. It's just me saying it. I know we want Hendrick to be good, and I definitely think Chase Elliott has the potential to go deep into the playoffs, and maybe even Jimmy Johnson or Alex Bowman could do it too if something happens. But they're not as good as Harvick. They're not as good as Kyle Busch. They're not as good as most of the Stewart-Haas cars every week. They're not as good as most of the Gibbs cars every week. So what good is it by us trying to say, oh, we're back, we're good, we're complacent with where we're at right now? There's no good in that. If Hendrick fans are fine with their cars running 8th to 12th every week, then sure, they're back, but I'm pretty sure most Hendrick fans are used to seeing them run in the top 5. That's my point. So Hendrick's not back, but they're still better than they were 3 or 4 months ago, but they're not back. And I think this race at Michigan helped kind of keep our expectations grounded a little bit. Continuing to look down, there's Logano in 10th, so all the Penske guys got top 10s. Gibbs guys disappointed me a little bit. Yeah, apparently they were running something a little bit new. They were trying something new this week as a team, and it didn't really seem to work too well. I mean, Suarez 11th, that's about as good as he ran all day. Jones 13th, he had a very up and down day. Some good moments where he was running top 5, but he also was involved in several incidents, so it just is what it is. Ryan Newman ran well at times, 15th for him. You look further down there, Kyle Larson in 17th, a little disappointing, especially given he's won, I think, 3 of the last 4 races at Michigan. I know Chevy as an organization, as a manufacturer, has not been as good as they've been in years past, but I'm definitely a little surprised to see him finish that low, and that's basically where he ran. He was irrelevant. Really was not anywhere near the front at all during the race, and I was surprised by that because I think a couple months ago, I feel like we thought Kyle Larson was leading the Chevy camp, you know, like Hendrick was struggling, you know, Ganassi wasn't great, but Larson was consistently there around 5th to 10th, you know, running okay. But nowadays, Chase Elliott's kind of taken over as the top Chevy, and Larson honestly looks like he's gotten worse than he was 3 months ago. So that might be something to be concerned about if you're a Chip Ganassi guy, because I don't know, Larson, a few months ago, we thought he could maybe contend and make it to Homestead. I'll be honest, right now, I don't see him making it past the round of 12, and I feel like that's disappointing for that team. But anyway, yeah, that's basically the most notable finishes there in your top 20. I talked about Stewart-Haas Racing, and I talked about Hendrick, which is the 2 big things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to keep this episode pretty brief because I have a big episode planned for a couple days from now. I'm going to go over all the NASCAR silly season predictions. That's why I'm going to save the Kurt Busch rumors. There's some Martin Truex Jr. rumors out there. I'm going to save those for a few days from now, so I'm not going to talk about that right now, but stay tuned, because there are some interesting behind-the-scenes things that I think not everyone's aware of that we should discuss, because this 2019 season could be a wild one as far as where people are going to be racing. We thought things looked weird this year with all these young guns taking over cars. Things could look even weirder next year. I'm just telling you. But anyway, yeah, I think I've made my point, so thank you guys, as always, for watching. I know Out of the Groove's been kind of weird the last couple weeks, and it's still going to be weird for about another 2 or 3 episodes while I move into my new place, but this has been still fun, I hope. I hope you guys are getting something out of these episodes. If you missed it, I made an episode last week about all the news with Brian France and Chase Elliott winning and everything, so I had some good episodes last week that if you missed it, definitely go check those out. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, all links to that are down below, and of course, thank you to our wonderful Patreon sponsors. Shout out to Kyle Hill, who's now a sponsor in the highest bracket, so thank you guys so much for the support on there. It really means a ton to me, really helps me keep this show going. And thanks, of course, everyone else for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed the race in Michigan today. It was an okay race. I tweeted out earlier, like the first 2/3 of the race was really good. The final third was really just watching Harvick continue to pull away. That's all it really was. But still not a bad race. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode here today, and I hope you guys are looking forward to later this week, because I got some interesting rumors to discuss. There's gonna be a lot of fun speculation on this show, so I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too, and I'll see you guys later this week. Have a good rest of your weekend, everyone. See you guys.